Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report this weekend. Jim, when you look at the International Grains Council, it lowered its global corn production forecast by 6 million metric tons. We've seen some cuts to key growing areas in Brazil. When you look at this forecast, has this picture changed dramatically when you look at the possibility of increasing the amount of corn acres that we have in the U.S. come June?
Well, right now, plain and simple, they did make some cuts, but when you look at the overall supply on the world time, I think it looks very comfortable. I'm with Brian in the fact earlier when he said that the corn acres are probably going to increase a little bit. I think when they did the survey in March, the farmer was pretty down on the economic situation. I think he bounced back. I think a good majority of the corn is going to get in. And if we get anywhere close to trend line yields, we're going to have more than enough. And then demand, I think China is still a real question. You look at what China said. The USDA says China is going to import 23 million metric tons of corn. The Chinese say they're going to import 13 million metric tons. Same thing on the beans. I think there's about an 8-9 difference between the USDA's import for China's versus the Chinese viewpoint. So, if China's viewpoint is correct that they don't need as many products as what the USDA thinks, that could have a huge ramification on the bearish side for the balance sheet.
All right, Brian, let's switch gears a little bit to cattle, because as we head into the Memorial Day weekend, big time for demand and grilling. But through cash negotiations, they've been slow to develop in most areas. But according to Pro Farmer, Brian, you guys say it appears the average cash cattle price will challenge or eclipse the all-time high of $189.56 posted in March. Some impressive cash action that we've seen this week.
Absolutely, and probably even more impressive than the cash action has been wholesale beef prices just on fire here recently, and really, the domestic demand is pulling this market, and we need it because the exports aren't very good on the beef side of things, and so what we have is that demand is keeping up. The supply situation remains bullish for cattle because we know that they continue to tighten up there. Feedlot supplies are going to remain tight as we move into 2025. And so really the question mark on the cattle and beef side of things is on demand, and domestic demand for now is strong. It needs to be because we're into that key time frame. Once we get past the beef holidays this summer, then it backs off quite a bit traditionally.
Jim, strong domestic demand and the Feds are still confident inflation will ease, but a new survey shows more than half of Americans think that the United States is in a recession, although gross domestic product has been increasing for the past several years. So for consumers, they have a lack of confidence in the economy, yet we're still seeing demand for things like meat products strong.
Well, I think what you're seeing, Tina, is essentially kind of a dichotomy of what people think and what they believe. And what I mean by that is you ask a consumer, they say, well, what do you think the economy, like you said, they say it's not good. And then you say, well, what are you going to do? Well, guess what? They're going on vacation. We're looking for a record amount of people traveling over Memorial Day weekend. Airlines are saying that, record amount of travel. So even though the consumer may say, I'm worried about the economy, they're spending like they're not concerned about the economy. And that's going to be the key to the cattle market near term. If that consumer continues to spend like he has for the last year and a half, coming out of the pandemic, it should be supportive, at least near term.
Thanks, Jim and Brian. All right, up next, we have a custom-built tractor that rides in memory of the man who built it, celebrating him and the work he did to keep a tradition alive. That's this Memorial Day weekend. Next.
Watch Markets Now with Michelle Rook on the Farm Journal YouTube channel, keeping you updated throughout the day on the markets at the open, midday, and close. Find out what moved the markets today and what to expect the market to do next.